Good morning, internet. It is Wednesday at like 10 to 8 or so we're heading down a couple of minutes. Yeah, and we're ready to go. We're heading out to Brooklyn this morning for meeting with someone. If I don't have my schedule to hand, I honestly have no idea what's going on. Yeah, somebody. Anybody, I don't know. Yeah, so we're rolling out and I will take you with us. 4 and 20 blackbirds. There's a store called 4 and 20 blackbirds there. So cute. Okay, so we have made it to Brooklyn and we're gonna go see a lady. I'm kind of feeling a little bit sick and tired. Yeah, so we're walking. It's a really pretty neighborhood. Pretty much everything's like brick, which is really cute. Everyone seems to be in good spirits. Jori had a fall earlier, scared the crap out of all of us. We were like, oh my god, Jori. She's like, no, I'm fine. And we're like, you're not fine. It was terrifying, but she's fine. She is fine. Okay, so we just got done talking to Loda, Jan's daughter, and she was really nice, and she had some amazing advice. She's a really cool person.
Where?
She didn't want me to film her, which I respect, that's fine. So I don't have any clips of hers, but here's some pictures that some people, particularly Sydney, took with her. She was really nice. I liked her a lot. And then I got a present for, that's my husband, but I got a present for my mom, which I'm going to have to make her to show how much I love my mom. Yeah, so now we are off to hopefully, we're going to go to 10 Betuluin, and we're hoping to be able to snag some lunch beforehand, but we'll see if we're able to or not. We're on the train. We're going We're going over a bridge. I don't know if you can see it. But the moment I whip out my camera is the moment we stop going over the bridge, because that's how my life works. So we're standing outside Ted and Betuluin's place, but they're not, well, we gotta wait for Guin and Durwin, and we're supposed to meet like at 12, and at 12 there's all of us. She's filming. And, yeah. And none of Guin and Durwin, so I don't know where they've gone. We're all alone in Brooklyn.
I'll take it.
Showing like our unwritten work too. So Kurt and I, we do it all. We do storyboards. We do these, big boards for advertising things. We do comics. We do book covers. There's so many things you can do to make a living at this.
There's stuff in my...
Kitty. Look at that fluffy kitty.
Yeah, these must be...
So I figured out that I love type, so I started making money doing type. Like somebody hired me to draw letters, and I think this was like for me to draw letters. And it's like, you know what, guys? Like, there's a way. Like, I had to crack it. I have nobody leaving me any, money. I have no mom that gives me checks every month. I have to figure it out. So I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna figure this out? And, I was like, hey, I do type. And then somebody's like, I need type for my cover. And I'm like, that's awesome. It's working. You just have to, I don't know if you guys are going to do fine art or commercial stuff or children's books, or I don't know what it is you want to do. But we do everything. As long as you can draw, you can do anything. You can work for the movies. You could work for, like a puppet company. You can do anything. Like, the sky's the limit as long as you know how to draw. If that's what, but to learn how to draw, for me, it took like 10 years. It took a really long time.
Because I don't think their budget is that high. But still, the lesson is ask around.
Ask around. How much did you actually get for
For this one, this one might have been, which is not that much.
So we just finished with Kurt and Zelda, and they were amazing, really funny, and like genuinely so nice. And they also had a really nice apartment, and it was like, what? So now we're going to DC Comics, which is awesome. We're walking through the subway, and it's like, I just hope I don't fall into the tracks. This is really what I'm hoping here. I'm excited! Hey, look, it's the Late Show with David Letterman. Super cool. Excited. We just walked up like a million stairs. I never want to do that again.
How are you feeling about, again, like DC's online, you know, offerings and that sort of
Sure.
thing.
I was really nervous that the whole digital comics world was going to take over physical publications. I'm old school. I love a book. I love a magazine. It's just who I am. I always have. You know, when I'm down, when I'm blue, I'll go to the used bookstore and spend a couple hours. That's what I love doing. And I thought for sure that digital publishing, once we started putting comics online, I thought for sure it was going to just be the nail in, what's the phrase I'm looking for?
Coffin.
Yeah, no, I mean the nail in the coffin. Yeah, but you know, physical publications, the comics themselves, traditional publishing. I was absolutely positive it was over. You know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and that's a shame because that's what I love. But what we have found is we offer both. We do both. We do traditional publishing and digital publishing, and digital publishing has really taken off. We're making a lot of money doing that, but it didn't harm or even alter traditional publishing at all. They're both very healthy for us, and that's great. You know, I still think there's nothing like, you know, seeing a kid in a Barnes and Noble and seeing a comics shelf and, oh, there's Batman, and buying that. I love that aspect of it. I don't like, because I stare at the computer screen all day long, I don't like to read on the computer, so I don't have a Kindle, and you know, but that's just my personal.
And then you should recognize the little symbol. There's a little C, and then there's a little TM, or if it's been registered, it's an R. And the basic idea is, like, everything that you produce is owned by somebody. So I see a lot of it. Obviously, you guys have notebooks and stuff. So if you sketch something in your notebook, you own it the moment that you draw it, right? So in effect, that you have a copyright claim on anything that you produce. Copyright essentially applies to images, and it applies to stories, and it applies to language and dialogue. There are some things that surprisingly copyright doesn't apply to. For example, titles. Like, theoretically, the name Superman, for example, even though DC Comics has a trademark on it, there's no copyright on the name Superman. So if you decide you want to write a book called Superman, you can write a book called Superman, you just can't do certain things that are already copyrighted in Superman stories, or have a big giant Superman logo that looks exactly like the DC Comics logo, because that's what they have trademarked. So there's kind of two separate categories of legal protection that occur when you are working in art or writing or anything like that. So it's one of the reasons, for example, why movies you can have the same movie name for different movies, because you can trademark a logo for a movie if somebody has like a particular title that they've used for the movie, but you can't actually copyright the name of the movie. So if you decided to name a movie Star Wars, theoretically you can name your movie Star Wars, you just can't have the logo of the movie look the exact same way that it does on the Star Wars logo. So that would be the difference kind of between what copyright is and trademark is. When you do art for yourself, in theory, you own the copyright, and therefore, if anybody wants to make money from it, they have to theoretically come to you and get your permission and pay you, because you own the copyright on the art. And that doesn't matter whether it's comics art or fine art illustration, paintings that you're putting in a gallery, whatever. A lot of the people that you've been talking to today, and obviously a lot of us who work in art and illustration, we do what is termed work for hire, or freelance work, or whatever you want to call it. In which case, usually, unfortunately, you do not own the copyright of the work that you're doing. So in effect, you can, if you're hired by DC Comics, you draw for DC Comics, you draw comic book issues of Batman or whatever. DC Comics owns what you're doing. And there are sort of variations in how a work for hire contract can function. And you know, for example, if I remember correctly, DC Comics, if you're a writer and you create characters for DC, then you are contractually obligated to get like portions of royalties if they ever do like a figure or a statue of it, or if it ever appears in a movie or something like that. Then DC Comics will pay you something if your contract says that you will be paid something out of it. But most comics work historically has always fallen into the work for hire category. So when you get guys who have been, you know, if you think of like the classic comic book characters that DC puts out, most of those were not created by DC Comics. They were created by writers and artists that were working for DC Comics. Most of them have seen very little money from the success of, say, Superman movies or Batman movies or whatever, because they did work for hire, and it's DC Comics, the company that owns the copyrights and the trademarks, and not the creators who actually make the stuff. Because of that, beginning in the 1980s, there was a sort of a, whatever you want to call it, a sort of a counter movement amongst publishers to say, no, copyrights and trademarks shouldn't belong to companies, they should belong to creators. And it should be the people that actually write and draw the books that actually get to hold on to those rights. That's actually much more the way it is that normally operates in actual book publishing. If you're a writer and you write a book and you sell the book to Random House or to Simon & Schuster or whoever, normally you own the book and all your publisher is doing is publishing it, so that you grant to them the right to publish a book. And they pay you for that, with advanced royalties and stuff like that. But you're still technically the owner of your work. Historically, that was not how it worked in comics and graphic novels. And unfortunately, just generally speaking in arts and illustration, if you're working in advertising, if you're working in marketing, if you're working in Hollywood, unfortunately, usually you don't own the work that you do. Animators, for example, never own the work that they do. It's always owned by a company. Now you can start to see in film and television, because of the ease with which people can actually simply shoot themselves and edit themselves at home, there's kind of a similar moment in film and television where people are starting to say, well, wait a minute, I mean, obviously indie film has been around for a while, but even in indie film, usually you need to find lots of people to pay you money to be able to film like a movie historically. But in the last few years, it's now reached the point where it's much easier for people to film their own movie and edit it on their desktop or whatever, and then have a film that they themselves have created and can own the copyright and the trademark on, et cetera. So without having to sort of like go through a giant studio system where somebody else is paying for it and they actually own it at the end.
Okay, so it's like, I don't know what time it is, dude. Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock.
Oh,
And that's the Empire State Building right up there. Nicole is eating pink berries. We are. Look at her freaking delicious pink berry. Look at that. Nom, 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 nom. I ate mine already, so, sorry. Yeah, so we got some shopping done. Nicole bought these two really freaking cute dresses to match how cute she is. And there was a dress that I wanted, but it was kind of like a little too expensive, and I was like, oh god, like, I burped. I'm already spending money and I don't wanna, and yeah. But we had dinner at a Korean place too, and I didn't catch any video of that. I should have. It was really good. It was like really yummy, and I love how like things come to you in Korean food, and they're like so hot. They're just like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
And they took our order while we were in line, so we like got our food almost right when we sat down.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Very efficient.
Good service. Yeah, it was yummy. We had a good time. So now I think Nicole's gonna finish eating her pinkberry, and then we are gonna take the subway back to the hotel. Because I